Okay, I have to admit, this is my favorite Pokemon in the Go Battle League currently. Toucannon, Shadow Toucannon, in theory shouldn't be that great, right? You want to have an early root bird here that has nothing crazy going on for it. It's a normal and flying type, like we have 20 million of them in Pokemon Go. But the thing is for Toucannon, it is not going to get better by the moves it has really directly because they are all going to be flying typing. You don't have any coverage on this Pokemon. You have, in theory, the moves options of Flash Cannon as well as Rock Blast, which are both quite horrible moves. They give you some coverage though, sometimes it could come clutch. But generally speaking, Toucannon doesn't really have a lot going on for it. But in the same way, it actually is amazing because the one thing it does amazing. The thing is, like, you have a lot of, don't really have a lot of Pokemon currently in the meta that can resist the flying type damage, and even if they resist it and they don't have amazing bulk, you're going to be able to hit them so incredibly hard with the new move of Beak Blast on this Pokemon. It's ridiculous, and this is why I love this Pokemon so much. It's so much fun to play, and it's a Pokemon that's easy to team build around. It's a Pokemon that's easy to play even, I would say. We're going to have a team here that can showcase you what I mean with that. We're going to have our lead, the Gastrodon. We're going to have our Saisop, the Corviknight, and we have the Toucannon in the back. So, why is that so easy to play? Because you have in the lead one of the safest Pokemon, the easiest Pokemon to play. You have either fast move pressure, you have some solid coverage here and body slam and water pulse. Then you have the Saisop, which is going to be a flying type, which is supposed to bait out Pokemon that are good against flying type, like a Bastion, while still punishing them with the sand attack, as well as having like payback as a coverage move for like Pokemon, even like the Jellicent here. It's just kind of nice. And then in the back, you kind of try to set up your Toucannon. And this is kind of the best way, in my opinion, to do that. You can also reverse this team. Use like Toucannon in the lead and use Gastrodon in the back. But I like this team quite a bit here. And let's take a look at the next opponent, where we're going to have actually the worst possible Pokemon to encounter for this team, which is actually Altaria. Why? Because Altaria has, yeah, of course, an amazing matchup against our lead. It is absolutely fantastic against our lead, but also it has access to a Flamethrower, which is going to be fantastic against Corviknight. So, like, you kind of have a bit of a breaker here in that. We're going to have up against us now the opponent Stunfisk, and we're in a very tough spot here because they are going to be able to align themselves. And at this point, we are in a position where we have to kind of try to get some energy here early on with my Toucannon, and I hope they go for the Mud Bomb. They go for the Mud Bomb so they don't really do a lot of damage, but I need to get some extra energy. They reveal that they have in the back here the Azumarill, which in general I would be able to deal with my Toucannon, but I still have to also deal with the Altaria, so that is going to be practically, I wouldn't say impossible to win now, but it's going to be quite tough to win, as we have to kind of try to deal with both of those Pokemon with just this Toucannon, which doesn't have a lot of bulk left on itself as well. And while we can debuff the opponent here the entire time, I would mostly need to keep my Beak Blast for later on, which I do, and I can stop out of here. But I don't think it's going to be working out too much, because I would need to get rid of one of those Pokemon already here, and I highly doubt that I'm going to be able to deal with this Altaria at this point anymore. We just kind of got hardwalled here, to be fair. And this is the thing as well. What I kind of encountered is that there were some teams that were a bit problematic that been more popular nowadays in the Go Battle League. One team that really came up recently a lot, which of course is difficult for this team, is the backline of Steelix plus Bastion, and that's just, nearly impossible to beat with this team. But against nearly everything else, you're going to be actually great. Here I make a big mistake. I should have not went into this Pokemon. I should have went into my Toucannon. I just thought, okay, there's a Dragon type coming in. I'd rather go into my Steel type, which can resist the damage. But here you see the issue, which you have with the Altaria, that they have Flamethrower as a coverage move, which is just going to hurt us quite a bit. And yeah, I kind of need to use a shield here because I need to kind of get them a little bit lower, and it's going to go for the double air cutter, which should be fine, which should give me kind of either the KO here or I get the shield. and I don't actually get the second air cut off. And this is actually quite problematic, and you most likely wonder, why do I go ahead and go into this Pokemon now, into the Gaston? It's because I had a lot of energy already, and I was kind of fearing this with the Toucannon. If I hit that air cutter, I would have been in such a different spot, because I could have just farmed him down with a Toucannon, but now I am in a position where I have Toucannon against the Shadow version of Empoleon. But this doesn't mean that we're going to be losing this battle here, because we have Beak Blast, and that's going to just one-shot them, even though it's a resisted hit. And so yeah, that is going to be a bit of an interesting one. We can go ahead and go for another charge move against the opponent here. The Drill Peck is coming through. We are going to get the shield from the opponent, as well as we can shield ourselves here. Seed Bomb is coming in. I can knock out the last Pokemon from the opponent, and now the Gorggeist coming in here as well. We can go for the charge move, and we can actually still win this one thanks to Toucannon. Alright, Shadow Scissor. This is going to be quite alright for the lead. The thing is here, okay, let's swap out into the Blasters anyway, which is actually quite amazing, because at the end of the day, against the Scissor, we're always going to have our Steel type of Corviknight. This is also why Corviknight is so great. It's just so nice and neutral against everything, basically, in the current meta. But here against Blastoise, we resist the fast move, which is great. Our fast move does some solid amount of damage, and we have just some nice body slam spam here, which is fine. We're gonna get the shield from the opponent. I'm happy with that. I am going to be able to take the hit if I wanted to here, though. And I decide to use still another shield. I actually think this is a bit of a mistake. I mean, I guess if they go for 2 moves anyway, it very likely would have 2-shot me anyway with Hydro Cannon exactly. So if they go back into Scissor, I get the shield back. They reveal that they have Altaria again. I think that is the 3rd or 4th Altaria now in the 4th battle. So that is just a bit difficult if I just explained prior that this is the exact Pokemon that I kind of fear a little bit with the team. And this is the thing that I kind of would like to say here as well. I feel like in a normal day, this team would perform even stronger than it did here. The thing is, I feel like I faced Altaria non-stop and then the other team non-stop, and that is just tough because you never really get the alignment that you want. Anyway, we can go to the Toucannon, and we can go for the Drill Peck. And at this point, the Altaria is quite low already, and we can knock them out. And here you see already what I mean with Toucannon's busted. Like, this thing is just destroying now everything. Like, we were in such a bad spot, but Toucannon's like, okay, I just one-shot everything, goodbye there, win us the battle, and we can move on. Like, seriously, like, there are so many battles where I'm like, okay, I'm in such a bad position, I should play it differently or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Toucannon comes around and be like, yeah, okay, buddy, I have you. I just gonna win the battle for you real quick. And it's just so fun. Like, honestly, this Pokemon is so much fun to play. I go for the Beak Blast here, because I know that the other move would not be enough to knock them out yet at this point, and the opponent decides to use a shield, which is okay. But this also allows me to survive the assets a bit better. In hindsight, I could have very likely just went into my other Pokemon as well, into my Corviknight. It would have very likely made more sense. And here I try to go for a double Drill Peck, but as we will see, the opponent is going to actually be able to CMP tie here, which is quite unfortunate, because now they're going to knock me out anyway. So yeah, that did not really work out the way I wanted it to. But at least I can go into my Corviknight. They are debuffed as well, so like I don't really have to fear any moves. I can just go and get a ton of energy extra here. Rock Tomb is coming through, and I can just go for the Air Cutter at this point. I have a ton of energy stored for later on, which is the best I could have done at this point, just trying to get an energy advantage, and we can farm them all the way down, as they're going to go into the Scissor again, where we have payback for this Pokemon. This is resisted, and I can resist debuffed, but it's still going to do a lot of damage, and we are going to be not able to knock them out in time. They're still going to get to another move, and this is going to be a bit scary, because I don't know what they have in the back, and we have a CMP tie, which is even worse for us. As we will see, the Air Cutter is coming through, going to get the KO, and they reveal that they have in the back the Azumarill, and this is a neutral matchup here. I don't know who's going to win this battle. It is going to be quite close, but at the end of the day, I'm fairly certain that we are in an alright spot, because they need to go for 2 charge moves as far as I can see that, especially if they go for Ice Beam here. But I should be able to still reach another Body Slam, and now they are in Air Cutter range. And now they have like kind of a dilemma here, because they would need to get a ton of energy extra in order to deal with the Corviknight, but they can't do that because they would get one step down. And now Corviknight's still absolutely going to get to another charge move. The opponent is aware of that, and they forfeit. So I feel like we have actually a lot of very difficult games here so far against like a lot of difficult Pokemon, but somehow we are managing to still always kind of come back with a Toucannon, which is so hilarious, because like we really don't have great matchups so far. But anyway, we're going to have the Air Cutter coming in. This is going to be alright against the opponent's Florges. This is going to do a little bit of damage, but we have kind of an unfortunate matchup here, because Air Cutter has that 30% chance of boosting my own attack, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, like that is a very solid chance. But the issue is here that Air Cutter is going to be, yeah, not really gonna cut it here because we are never gonna get the boost and the opponent is debuffing me the entire time. So I'm in a bit of an awkward spot. The benefit though of Corviknight is that we have a 1-turn fast move, so even if they debuff me the entire time, I always do 1 turn off, like one damage per turn, which you see here as well. And that is going to allow us to kind of, yeah, be still alright in positions like this. We're able to still farm them down. Here I decided to swap out into my Toucannon, and I should have swapped out even earlier. I think I swapped out a little bit late. Because at the end of the day, I need to swap out into my Toucannon, as otherwise it just farm me down. And Corviknight is just gonna be like free energy for the Credilli, and I can't really have that. And so I can go for 2 drill packs here this time around. I should be able to get both of them off, luckily. And this would put them even into a farm down range for the Gastrodon, which is alright. I could even try to swap here if I want to keep my Toucannon, but at this health point, I guess I can go for the Air Cutter and just knock them out. Okay, that is kind of okay for me. Like the Credilli should go down here. We're going to be able to knock them out. We have the attack boost, which is super important. Never mind. There's going to be a Gorggeist in the back. Okay, what are we going to do now? I have to go into my... Okay, I would have needed to go into my Toucannon, but as we can see here anyway, the switch clock isn't up yet. Yeah, that's just unfortunate. Like, there is not really a lot that I can do about it. We're just getting walled here now by Gorggeist. Gorggeist is the one Pokemon that can resist everything that we have here on our... yeah, what's it called? On our Gastrodon. Like, I think there's no other type combination that can do that. Fairly certain? I think, yeah. I think there's no other type combination that can do that. So, good job there. Yeah. I guess Grass... No, never mind. Grass and Steel also doesn't work. So yeah, this is the only type combination that completely hard towards us. Good job there, and we can move on to the next opponent. Okay, we have a Wigglytuff in the lead. This is not too bad. This is absolutely playable, because what we have here is we have a lot of damage already coming in. And this is gonna allow us to put the opponent into farm down range for any of our Pokemon, to be fair. And they swap out into the Azumarill against our Corviknight. And here against the Azumarill, it's always kind of important to go early for the Air Cutter, because what you have is the option to boost their own attack, which you get immediately. And this one boost here is going to change the entire matchup, because all of a sudden, Corviknight is not only bulky, it's also going to hit quite hard because of that one attack boost. It's 25% more damage output from our Corviknight, which is going to change the matchup quite significantly, as we will just hit harder now, which is absolutely fantastic. And we still have even another attack boost now, so we had 50% extra damage, which is amazing as well. Ice Beam comes through, still doesn't knock us out, and we're still gonna get to another move, which will allow us to knock out the opponent's Azumarill if they don't want to use a shield, which they very likely don't want to do. Now I see here in the back the Jellicent, and I'm fully aware that we have, yeah, the option to outspeed them. They go into the Wigglytuff. I will let the move go here. I'm aware that just my Toucannon alone is easily going to be enough to win us this battle. As we will see here, they have a ton of energy already. We just have to go for Drill Peck. They have no chance of winning this one. I think the only way of winning this battle is if they have a moveset combination of Bubble Beam plus Ice Beam, which no one is going to run, because then in theory they could bait twice with a Bubble Beam, get both of my shields, maybe then survive a Drill Peck from me, and then have the Ice Beam to knock me out. But this is not gonna happen here today, because nobody's running this moveset, and we can move on now to the next opponent, as Toucannon takes down yet another. And I love this, this is so fun about this team. Like, we are basically always in a bad spot until, like, literally the last kind of Pokemon where then Toucannon just takes over, just because we set up Toucannon every single time. And this is kind of the thing that you need to do with this Pokemon like this. You have a Pokemon that can only hit really with a one type. You kind of need to get rid of the answers for this type early on, which this team is designed to do. We have an answer in the lead here for Rock as well as Steel type Pokemon, which as well as Electric type Pokemon, which is going to be what is resisting the flying type damage. That's the only types to really resist the flying type damage, and everything is going to be weak to ground, so that's why ground together with the flying typing is so amazing, because it can kind of help each other out. And here in the end game, I think this is very likely going to be a loss, because what we see is a Talonflame against our Toucannon. And the issue is that Toucannon does not have any bulk, and the issue is that Toucannon is going to rely on just getting off the moves here. But as you see, the opponent actually makes a bit of a mistake here though. That could come in clutch for us. The opponent decides to go for 2 flame charges, which now means they need 2 more fast moves to get to another move, which could allow us to... Okay, I think we actually still win this. There's nothing that the opponent can do really here. I just need to get a little bit of extra energy. I just need to get up to, basically this energy. I can just go straight Water Pulse and I win the battle straight away. Because I know that the opponent isn't there yet with their, Talonflame, and I can just go for another charge move straight away, knock them out, and win us this battle. And so that's gonna be it for this video. Honestly, you saw on how overpowered this team actually can be. Toucannon is absolutely fantastic, and I will see you then. Bye bye.